Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJ Trip, and welcome to the game according to me. Once again, episodes 5 and 6 of the Last Dance. Some really fun and interesting stuff here. Some really funny, interesting stuff between these between episodes 5 and 6. So let's go ahead. Let's go right into it. Right. We start with the All Star Game in 1998, Madison Square Garden. Um, Jordan is the MVP of all MVPs, of course, and the All Star of all stars, as the late David Stern said. Um, but there was some interesting stuff here because we got a little bit of the Kobe Bryant stuff here because in 1998, Kobe Bryant, who was a backup on the Lakers, he was actually a backup on the Lakers, became a starter in the All Star game, and Michael was talking about some. Yeah, he just got to do. He wants to go 1-on-1 with you. He just wants to. When I get him down here, he gonna work for it. I'm gonna get him down here on offense, and Kobe plays defense. And so and they said to Kobe Bryant, and apparently this was actually done. I guess maybe a couple of weeks before his untimely passing. They sat down with him and talked about this, and he talked about Jordan, and wanting to, he idolized him and wanted to be him and did everything he could, and even talked about how he even asked for like stuff like um stuff like how to do things, how to work on your fadeaway, how to do this and then that, and Jordan was open to mentoring him and things like that. And then he talks about how the Lakers, the Lakers fans would come up to him and talking about how he's, Michael and everything like that. And he goes, well, listen, I don't get those 5 rings if it's not for Michael. I don't get those 5 rings. Basically saying, listen, if you got 5 championships, I give you 5 championships, but if Michael's not helping me along and helping making me become the person I am, you don't get those 5 rings. And I think that's true. And I think that's just another reason why there should be no conversation about who's who's the GOAT. It's Michael. And Lakers fans love Kobe. You can love Kobe, and Cavaliers fans and some Miami Heat fans will love LeBron, and you can love LeBron. But know that Jordan is the GOAT, and he's the only one and true GOAT. This is going to be the biggest thing from this documentary. Michael's the GOAT. Nobody else is. Stop talking and talking about it. Okay. Don't be a moron. So yeah, so we got some Kobe stuff at the beginning, which was good, and kind of does get you in the heart know that he's not here. And in fact, even the Quinn Cook from the LA Lakers, this version of LA Lakers, he even tweeted, I'm so sad that Kobe isn't here right now to see this because because I think Kobe would love this. Kobe would enjoy this so much. Because somebody who idolized Michael like he did, just watching all of this stuff, I'm sure he would be lapping it up. And we know how much Kobe loved Michael, and we also know how much Michael loved Kobe from the thing from the memorial back in February. So we definitely know that. Yeah. So we are so as this um documentary has done in the past, it's gone a lot from the 1997 gone in the past, and I think this is a great job that they've done. They keep going back to the past to try and let you in on the stories. It's almost to give you an insight onto how Michael was Michael and why he was Michael, right? And they really have done it. And these 2 episodes, they didn't do a lot in the 97-98 season. They showed some scenes of of Michael having backstage conversations with people, and him gambling with one of the guys in the security at the United Center, having some conversations with Randy Brown, or after some games, him having cigars and beers with Harp and Pip, and a whole lot of other things that they had shown, but really it had only been and they showed him golf, and it was they were trying to Jordan was trying to get Pippen to go golfing, and some of the local local guys in Chicago wanted to get a thing with Pip. Pip was like, no, Pip gotta go, Pip gotta go. Well, come on, let's go, no, Pip gotta go. They wanted to go out and go golfing. But yeah, so it was so yeah, that was some fun stuff. But yes, but mainly it was a lot of stuff from the past, and they started back with the 91 92 season, and they talked about how some people think that that's actually the best team that was ever assimilated with the Bulls, and I just disagree. I think you can't have a team go 72-10 and that not be the best team that you've ever had. It just can't. So I don't agree with that. But it gets to that, and it goes to they go through the playoffs and everything like that, and then they talk about you know um the finals against the Trailblazers, and there was a lot of comparing Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler. Both guys could kind of fly in the air and he could dunk. Clyde Drexler's nickname was the Glide because he seemingly just he glid he would glide. I was trying to think of a word. Did he glode? Did he glud? I was thinking of a word, but he would glide across the floor and across the air. So that's why he's called Clyde the Glide. And they kind of, compared him to Michael. Michael even says the thing. Now, being compared to Clyde Drexler, and I kind of didn't like that because I kind of felt that I was better than that, and he was, and he took poor Clyde to school. He took poor Clyde to school. First game was the 6 3-pointers in the first half game, and it was in fact he told Magic Johnson, who was doing commentary for NBC at the time, he told him that night before, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill this man, and exactly what he did. And in 6 games, they beat the Trailblazers, becoming their second, winning their second NBA championship, and that leads us into the dream team, and we bring back Isaiah Thomas, and why Isaiah Thomas didn't make the dream team, and Michael claims that he didn't, he didn't want Isaiah, that he claims that he's not the one that quelled Isaiah's, thing, but I kind of believe it, and I kind of don't, because I kind of think that well, it wasn't a thing where the guys said, okay, so Michael said, I won't do it if Isaiah's there. That wasn't the thing. I don't think that ever happened. But what I think what did happen is I think that Michael, Scotty, Malone, Bird, Magic, Scotty, and probably a few others, they probably said it probably said like you know they probably said something to the effect of I'll join the team, but I didn't want to see who's on the team first. And I think the higher herps probably realized where they were going with that, and then that's when and then they were probably like, okay, so these guys they want to see who on the team first, meaning they probably don't want a certain bad boy Piston on the team. So um and so Isaiah Thomas didn't get picked. And listen, I think maybe you can say that, yeah, maybe he deserved to be on it. I'm not gonna say John Stockton doesn't deserve to be on it because John Stockton was on it. There's the thing about Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner was a college guy, and he was a college guy that was on the team. So I kind of think, um, who was um, the guy that could have been replaced? It was Christian Laettner. They already had some bigs. They had Robinson and Patrick Ewing as the centers. So they really didn't they didn't need another, even though Christian Laettner was a power forward. They didn't they had Barkley and Malone at the power forward, so they didn't need Laettner to begin with. So they could have had Thomas on the team, but whatever. That dream team was, obviously that's the greatest collection of talent ever created. It's when you talk about a team in all team sports, it's the greatest team ever assembled. Um, you are talking about 12 Hall of Famers, on that squad. Not a one, that didn't make it in, and it is incredible to think of that team and that squad and the way they dominated teams. It's incredible. And the two best teams were the United States and Croatia, and they had a game, the beginning game. I think it was a preliminary game against Croatia, and Tony Kukoc was on their team. And Tony Kukoc was drafted in the 1990 draft by Jerry Krause, and Jerry Krause, not liked by Scotty and Michael, was talked about by Jerry Krause so much that when they said they were gonna show what Tony was, and because Mike and Scotty didn't like Tony at that time because he was Jerry Krause's guy, the rest of the Dream Team didn't like didn't like Tony Kukoc, and he was shut down. He didn't play very well. He didn't. They didn't show a stat line or say a stat line, but at one point they did say that he had 0 points and 0 assists. He Michael and Scotty put the lockdown on him, clank clank, and they even showed things afterwards where it was Charles said something and Scotty said something. Scotty says he doesn't belong in the NBA, and Michael says, "What?" Michael's being told by what Scotty scared. Michael goes, "Well, I don't know. There's nothing about it, like that and all like that." But they just, but just because they saw him as Jerry's boy, clank clank. And when it came down to the gold medal game, it was, of course, them in Croatia. Tony played a better game all overall. Still could not compete with the Dream Team, and yeah, but he was played a lot better and gained some respect from Michael and Scotty and the entire Dream Team. Um, and another thing that you come from the Dream Team, two things actually, is that you know Michael being a Nike guy, and we should probably go back to that whole Nike story. But Michael being a Nike guy, the things that people about Reebok, and they were talking about that he wasn't going to get his gold medal. That they weren't going to gold medal if they were covering up the Reebok or they wouldn't wearing the Reebok logo. And Michael said, "I got some shit for y'all," and he goes and he covers up the Reebok logo with the American flag. I'm dripping myself in the red, white, and blue. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do now? You're not gonna give me my gold medal? So Michael that was Michael. That was Michael. And the second thing is going back. They had some practices. Now, back on NBA TV several years ago, they did a Dream Team. They did a Dream Team special, and they talked about in that special. They talked about those practices, and it was two in particular. Um, it was one practice they had where they were going up against the college kids, Grant Hill and Chris Webber and a few others had that USA team, and they had gone up against them, and those guys beat them up. They beat them up. They beat up the veterans, and the veterans just couldn't believe it. And that's when the veterans said, "Trying to get our ass in gear." And boy, they came out the next day, and I think it was one of those things where they didn't let the young boys score. They shut out the other team from scoring. The team of college kids. So that was one thing, and then there was another practice, and there was one they told him here where it was Michael had a team and Magic had a team, and they were going head to head. And boy, all the trash talking was talking about and everything like that. They talking about this ain't Chicago Stadium. Michael ain't getting his calls, but then Michael started getting the call. Oh, this is the Bulls Stadium, right? And Michael said, "But this is the '90s. Shut your ass." Just some good old fashioned trash talk, some good old stuff between these guys, and it was a fun thing. And really, they said that the practice was so tough that nobody spoke anything when they got on the bus. And then Magic told Charles, "I guess we shouldn't have pissed off Michael." And the whole bus started out laughing and started talking again. So, and they talked about all of this, and it was just some really really good stuff, and it just brings you back to those days. In '92, I was 10 years old, and so there are a lot of stories that I don't remember. Being 38, I don't remember a lot of those stories because those are 28 years ago. I don't remember. I remember some of them. I remember some of the things happening. I remember some of the things going down. But I don't remember articles and stories and things like that. And to be honest, I probably wasn't into those things back then as I am now. Now I listen to sports talk radio every day during the week, and I listen. I'm always on ESPN and everything like that. So I'm always knowing the ins and outs of what's going on in sports. So I'm more into it, but I wasn't back then. But some of these things are just they're so fun to relive, and getting those backstories is always fun. So I mentioned about the Reebok thing being and Michael covering up the Reebok logo in the flag. So let's go back to 1984, coming out as a rookie. He's gonna get a shoe deal, and because people were in Converse. A lot of people were the biggest thing was Converse, and everybody was Converse. So but Michael didn't want to be Converse, and Michael actually loved Adidas. He wanted to be an Adidas guy, and people as Adidas uh, really really screwed up because they didn't even take an interview with Michael. But guess who did? Nike. At first, Michael didn't want to do it at first because again he was Adidas guy. He didn't want to do that. But they went out, and his agent called his mother. It's one of those things. He called his mother. You know, that's a crazy thing. But he called his mother. His mother said, "Mike, you gotta go out there and you gotta take that interview. You better take that interview." And I think him and his mother and his father went out there to Nike and they sat down with them and they offered I think they offered a $500,000 shoe deal. And Michael's father said, "You gotta take it." And he took the shoe deal, and the rest is history. The rest is history. And it's just now, yeah, we now know thing is Nike's the biggest sports apparel company in the world, the biggest shoes in the world. Jordan has his own Jumpman, has his own brand, the Jumpman brand off of Nike. I mean, it's Adidas royally screwed up. There may even be a Nike, you know, brand. Nike may have had to leave, might have had to, sell or something. And it would have been on Adidas, but no, they didn't want to take the interview with Michael. Shame on them. So yeah, because of that, he becomes a cultural icon, and he becomes a known all the world. He have all of those commercials. Him and Spike Lee is the shoes, and it's all of that is just fantastic. But then that also leads to later on in the episodes, probably of a more of a conversation piece, maybe the most controversial part of this episode. And they go to the 1990 Senate race between Jesse Helms and Harvey Gantt. and Jesse Helms, Republican senator for North Carolina, really had policies and thoughts that were really denigrated to the uh, to the African American community. And even at one point, when he beats Harvey Gantt, he says this line where he said, "There's no joy in Mudville," and it's just a wow. It's just a absolutely horrible thing to say and whatever. But there's a quote that's attributed to Michael that says that Republicans buy shoes too, right? And Michael says that he was joking about that with when it comes to that whole thing. He was joking about that with Scotty and some of the other guys on the bus. Said it in jest. Um, didn't think it was gonna become the big thing that it is. And but Michael says that he just and they talked about like Muhammad Ali. They even had somebody on there talking about how Muhammad Ali was what he was and his activism and things like that. Um, but Michael says that he didn't want to be an activist. He wanted to be a basketball player. Yeah, he wanted to be an basketball player. He was more focused on becoming the greatest of all time and winning championships than he was politics. And as much as he, you know, he sees Muhammad Ali for what it is, and he cherishes that for Muhammad Ali. That just wasn't him. And when it came down to his people, he didn't know. He didn't want to endorse Harvey Gantt. I mean, he didn't know anything about him, anything like that. He didn't. He didn't. So he didn't want to. He didn't want to endorse him. And he felt like he needed to endorse him, and he didn't. He says that his mother asked him to send a donation, and he did that. But you know, he didn't feel like that. And I think that's when some people have to get over themselves with this, because whether it was back then 30, 40 years ago, right? Or even if it's now in this age, if you don't feel comfortable speaking on something, you don't have to speak on something. And whether doesn't matter what whether that is. It doesn't matter whether it's politics or any other thing that having to do with social justice or anything like that. The people get upset. Why doesn't Michael speak on something? Why does this person doesn't speak on something? You doesn't have to speak on something just because you want to, right? Like, listen, for instance, I think someone made a thing because when everything was going down with with the cops, and the cops seemingly shooting, always seemingly shooting an unarmed black man, and it was happening at an alarming rate um, several years ago. And Michael came out and said something, and Carmelo Anthony said, "I'm finally glad he did something, said something." Well, no, he didn't. Michael didn't have to say nothing. Just be, he didn't have to say nothing then. Doesn't have to say nothing now. Didn't say nothing back then either. And I was just watching First Take before they were talking about this exact issue before I started recording this, and Max Kellerman made the same thing too, because a lot of people are gonna say that LeBron doesn't, when they bring up the LeBron Michael debate, which is but they always talk about LeBron's activism. But he had something this past summer, right? This past summer when someone talked about the things in China, the guy in Gerald Morley in Houston talked about the stuff in China while they were over there, and LeBron talks about, well, we got things happening in China. He shouldn't be speaking on things like this. and he was speaking of that because he's got stuff in China and he wants to be a global icon over in China and everything like that. He wants the NBA to be over there in China talking things like that, and people get mad at him because he's talking about his business adventures over what is human rights issues, and so it's whether you speak on something, but whether you want to speak on something, whether you don't want to speak on something, whether you want to, not say anything because of your business thing, or whether you just you willing to let that go. It doesn't matter. None of it doesn't matter, right? None of it matters. If you don't want to say nothing, don't say nothing. Again, we talk about the Colin Kaepernick stuff, right? And Malcolm Jenkins leads a group that is trying to help the social justice stuff, and he's working with the NFL to do so. But Eric Reed's dumbass, wants to call him a sellout because he's not helping Kaepernick get back, in the game or something. And it's just foolish. It's foolish and fuckery at the highest level. Um, so I'm so glad he's not in the league yet, released by Carolina, and he's not going to get picked up by anybody. Hopefully he does. Hopefully people are smart enough to realize that he's too much of a, he's too much of a clown to do so. Don't need to be giving him any platform whatsoever. Um, Especially if you're going to do that. Someone who's trying to help out, and then you call him out for, try to help him out because he's not doing it the way you want to do it. You're gonna call him out and say he's a sellout. Fuck you, Eric Reed. Fuck you. So that's a whole other topic for a whole another day. But yeah, it was a bit of a controversy. Michael says, I would have never wanted to be a role model if I knew things like that were going to happen, and that leads into the second hour, which it does get into some of the whole issues about Michael and maybe some of the things that are, some of the flaws of Michael Jordan, if there are any. Um, and probably his biggest flaw is probably gambling, and he likes to gamble, and um, he's a known gambler, and he has been things, and he was caught in a thing where somebody named Slim Bully. He had a gambling debt of about 57,000 with him. There's some rumors that he had like $1 million in gambling debt to somebody, and there's like a whole lot of there are like a whole lot of other things that that no they get into the Knicks thing and the whole thing with the Knicks. It actually started in '92, not '93. It started in '92. They had a 7-game series with the New York Knicks, and that one was just that one was special. That one was a good one. And Knicks became a thorn in the side. They became the new bad boys. They were a hard fouling team, and they would knock you on your ass, and they would do all of that other stuff to make sure that you didn't, that you wasn't going to, get an easy bucket. Um, so and they get to the '93 series, the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Knicks are there, and the Knicks take the first two games. And after game one, him and his dad and some of his friends they go to Atlantic City, and they have a little bit of a gambling thing, and they gamble all night until about midnight, and then they come back. And then the game two's the next day, and some people thought that he had looked kind of tired in game two, and he thought maybe that was because of the whole going out and gambling, and that's picked up, and the media jumped on that, and he was really caught off guard by that. He was really upset by that. His father was upset by that. He spoke on Michael's behalf, and it really pissed off Michael so much that it actually it actually fueled him to go taking out to win the next 4 games and take out the New York Knicks in great fashion. Um, um, so and then they did that, but you know, but he was really getting tired, and he was really getting stressed out by all of this. And he even sits down with he sits and he really interesting. He sits down with Amar Rashad, one of his best friends, before the series with the Sweet Phoenix Suns, and he's doing an interview on NBC, and he's got the glasses on, and when you think about it, it's not a good look. And he's doing the things and they showed all kind of clips from him with Amar Rashad on NBC or with Connie Chung, and they talk about, does Michael have a gambling problem? Does he have a gambling? No. Michael, one of them, they get with Connie Chung. He says, no, I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competition problem. I don't have a gambling problem. Um, and it's just one of those things where, you know, and when you think about an addict, what an addict does and an addict says, and how an addict, does everything, the things he is saying sounds like an addict. He, other than these outrageous gambling debts, um, there's not a lot of things. He's never gambled. Now, this is obviously Michael Jordan, where he's not suffering any money. You know what I'm saying? He's not living paycheck to paycheck, obviously. But there are things where he's definitely not he's gambling away tons of money. Like I said, he had a 50,000 gambling debt to this slim bougie fella, or and he had like $1 million gambling debt to someone else, and just so there were a lot of things on there. But this is all before the finals, and they get to talk about the finals. And he was upset Charles Barkley had won MVP that year in '93 in the '92-'93 season. So he said, okay, fine, Charles can have this thing, but he can have this he can have the MVP. I'm gonna take this championship, and that's what happened. And they talked, and they lead on with Michael, and they leave episode 6 with Michael winning his third championship, three-peating, the third team to three-peat, in league history, and so they leave it at that. And 7 and 8 are going to be about his time off. It's going to be about um, I'm sure they'll get into all of that. They'll get into his father passing, him being burnt out. They'll talk about him going to play baseball, and everything like that, and then him even making the comeback to the league. And I also think they're going to get into that at night 72-10 season, and because we got a story about the infamous story about Michael Jordan punching Steve Kerr, and we're going to get into that. So I think all of that's going to be in episodes 7 and 8. Going to be interesting because and next week going to be a little bit different for me because I will be my WWE, the Money in the Bank pay per view will be tomorrow night. So I'll be watching the Money in the Bank live. I'm gonna be watching this live. I'll have to catch it on the replays after I watch Money in the Bank. Um, so I'll do like that. I should still be here next Monday doing the catch up video on everything. And yeah, but I do believe that I will be doing the full rapid reaction. Yeah, the full rapid reaction on um the entire thing afterwards. Yeah, so I think that's what I'm gonna do. Once the thing 9 and 10 ends in 2 weeks, I'm going to do the entire rapid reaction, over on my YouTube channel for those listening on the podcast, over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/a20, and then you will be able to check that out, and you'll be able to see that live afterwards. We can sit down and talk about it, and have some laughs and talk about we talk about episodes 9 and 10 and talk about the entire series and talk about everything like that. So make sure you are here. I will probably at some point, I may at some point maybe put up the audio for the podcast. Make a podcast version of it so that you guys who listen on the podcast can listen to the rapid reaction. But I think there's both. I am just gonna do a rapid reaction afterwards. So you're gonna make sure you click there. Make sure if you haven't already, click the notification bell for those watching on YouTube so that when I do go live, bam, you'll be there. We can talk about the last dance. The last dance. The last dance. The last dance. The last dance tonight. We can talk about all of that. So, all right, y'all. Yeah, once again, this has just been fantastic. I'm so glad they decided, for those of y'all that don't know, this was originally going to be done throughout the NBA. If COVID-19 had not happened, this was actually going to be. They were actually going to show these episodes um, on the on the days that there was not the NBA finals in June. They were gonna do that. They were gonna show them each and every. They were gonna show them each and every other night. I think they were gonna do the same thing. They were gonna do um, 2 episodes a night for 5 nights. But now since there's no COVID-19, they pushed them up. And the ESPN and Netflix and the other directors, Jason Hare and everybody like that, they were able to push them up for us so that we can see them. And it's been fantastic. It really has. And this in this new world where we don't get a lot of sports, we've only got the WWE to entertain us and things like that. Things like the NFL draft and things like these documentaries, these sports documentaries for us sports nuts are incredible, especially those of us who have lived it. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, this has been a fantastic journey, and we still got 4 episodes left, y'all. So going to be interesting. If you're watching on YouTube, post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys thought of these episodes, 5 and 6 of The Last Dance. Anything jump out to you? Anything that just you didn't know? Anything that you wanted, that you liked? Really, anything. Oh, by the way, there's one thing. We're going back to the finals really quick. You know, apparently Jerry Krause loved Dan Marley, so that means Michael had to kill Dan Marley. I mean, it's just, yeah, yeah. I mean, Jerry Krause is just really just if he liked anything and anyone, Michael and Scotty really didn't like them. So it was incredible. Um, so yeah, that was great. So yeah, let me know down in the comment section what were your takeaways, your thoughts about The Last Dance. Um, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go to patreon.com/AJTrip to become a Patreon. Once you get to hit a certain number of Patreons, we will, patrons, I should say. I've been saying Patreons, I think. Yeah, so a number of patrons. I will open up things for, um, like, um, um, being able to choose what videos you like to see me do here on YouTube, what games you like to see me play on Twitch, and what you like to see me talk about, what you like to hear me talk about on podcasts. So, and speaking of the podcast, those of you guys listening on the podcast, you can go to anchor.fm, Andre's Triplet Show, and you can check out everything like that. And you can, if you don't want to go to Patreon, you can go there and you can become a subscriber there. 3 tiers: 99 cents, $4.99, and $9.99. And yes, I mean you don't get anything special with that, but I will say that it is cheaper than 2 of my tiers on Patreon. I have 3 tiers on Patreon as well. I have a $10 tier and $25 tier. So if you did want to support this channel and to support this podcast, um, you could do that by going to Anchor.fm as well on such an Under Triplet Show. And you can become a subscriber there. So many ways to support your boy, and anytime that you do, I do appreciate it. So. Thank you guys so much for watching and for listening. This is your boy AJ Trip signing off. As always, Be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.